So today we're going to look at this question number 7 on page 5 of your midterm review packet. So I'm going to walk you through a review of how you do these kinds of equations where they give you the data and you have to figure out what kind of function it is and the equation of that function. So first, you're going to turn on your calculator, and what I would do first is I would go to your y equals table and clear everything out. So then second quit, and then go to your stat plot and turn that on. So second y equals stat plot 1 and turn that on and make sure it's on the scatter, which is the first option. And you're going to have list 1 here and list 2 here. Okay, so everybody sees how that looks on your calculator. Okay, so second quit. Now you're going to go and put in all these data into lists 1 and 2 in your calculator. So you're going to go stat, edit. So first you have to clear out your lists 1 and your list 2. So clear, enter. Okay, so now let's enter in all these data. You have to be really careful when you're entering in the data that it's what's here and not something else. So let's go. We have 15, 22, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, and 75 in list 1. So now we're going to go over to list 2 and put in all those data. So we have 22.3, 25.5, 27.5, 29, 28.8, 30, 29.9, 30.2, 30.4, 28.8, 27.4, 25.3, and 23.3. Okay, so now all of your data are entered into lists 1 and 2 in your calculator. So now we're going to graph this. And if you hit graph, you're probably not going to see anything. So you have to do zoom 9, which is zoom stat. So that's going to zoom in on these data points that we just put into lists 1 and lists 2. So you see this function, and based on the end behavior, it looks like it could be quadratic or quartic, right? Because the ends are facing the same way. So you know it has to be an even function. So let's calculate the equations for the best models for quadratic and quartic. So on your paper, let's make our little charts. So we have quadratic, and quartic. Now if we go back to the calculator, if you just get out of the graph, so if you're on the graph, you can use second mode to quit. So get out of the graph, and now we're going to calculate the equations, the best fit equation for the quadratic. So that's stat, and then you go over to calc, and then you go down to quadratic, which is 5. So stat calc 5 for quadratic. So you do enter. So you have list 1, list 2, and you go enter to calculate. And so they give you this equation, the equations. They give you the A, the B, and the C. So let's copy that down. So they give us y equals 0.008, oh, this is a negative 0.0084 x squared plus 0.0 0.77 x, because that's your b value, and then plus 12.93, because that's the c value. Okay, so that's your equation. And you're also going to want to copy down the r squared value, which is the coefficient of determination. So the r squared equals what? 0.9743. Okay, so that's all given to you on your calculator, right there. And so now the next thing we want to do is to check the residuals, because we want to make sure that they're random. So you go to second y equals, so your stat plot, enter, and you go down to where it says list 2, but instead of list 2, press second stat and go down and choose residual, so that you have list 1 and residual as the plot. So now you're going to graph it, but you want to do zoom 9 again. And so these residuals look pretty random. So random residuals is yes. Okay, so now let's do the quartic function. So in this case, let's do stat calc and go down to, oops, here we go. Stat calc, go down to 7, which is quartic. Okay? Enter list 1, list 2, and calculate. And give it a second. Okay, so it gives us our equation for a quartic function. So we have y equals negative. Now see how it says e to the negative 6 at the end of this number? That means it has 5 zeros and a decimal in front of it. So e to the negative 6 is the same thing as saying that number times 10 to the negative 6, which you'll learn in chemistry, but you shouldn't have to know that for your test. Okay, so this number means it's really, really small. So that negative 2 to the negative 6 goes to negative 0.12345 x to the 4th. So that's what negative 2e to the negative 6 looks like. Then you're going to do plus, now here it's 3.6 to the negative 4, so that's 0.12336 x cubed, because it's a quartic. And then our c value is negative 0.03, so that's minus 0.03 x squared, and then plus 1.34 x, because that's our d value, and then plus 8.09. Okay, so that's a pretty long equation, and it should be all just written out in a straight line, but there wasn't enough room on my paper, unfortunately. Okay, and then our r squared value is 0.9781. All right, so now let's check the residuals. So random residuals, question mark, graph, and it's already zoom 9'd. And these residuals also look random. So that's good. So since both of these, the quadratic and the quartic, have random residuals, you want to choose the one that has the better r squared value, the stronger r squared value. So in this case, 0.9781 is closer to 1 than 0.9743. So our answer is that we're going to choose the quartic graph.